Before we get into the specifics of what Meet Premier Bitcoin does, let's talk about, you grew up here in El Salvador. Let's talk about what it was like before Bukele, because the thing that is very important, and the minister said this yesterday, but everyone, I think, is agreement, and I want to hear your opinion of like, you can't, if Bukele just introduced Bitcoin, but he didn't make the country safe, it wouldn't matter. Like, how important was it to arrest all of the gang members and make the country safe? Like, tell us. I don't think people who haven't been here, or at least here, but I don't think they fully understand what it was like before everybody got arrested. So tell us a little bit about that and how significant it was. And even your impressions on Bukele. We had lunch and you were like, when he first got elected, I was like, here we go. It's another politician. And now you've seen him do it. So walk us through that process a little bit.
Yes, I see it. Honestly, I see that the changes, not the good consequence of what has happened within, the last 4 or 5 years. No, 5 years. We're getting to the fifth year now with President Bukele, because we are able to also do what we do in education because it's safer now. Mm-hmm. We planned. We're gonna get into details, of course, but I was thinking last year when we were doing this pilot with the teachers, they were visiting communities, one by one, like that was just not possible in the past. So I was thinking, if we were going to have this great organization we're teaching, we would probably be able to only teach online or at the house where people has to go, or teachers from different communities or, localities would not be able to go from one area to another one. To teach, because especially younger ones, we have teachers of 20 years old, or even if you're older, that would get actually into that community. It was just too dangerous. So to live here in El Salvador, it's something that we probably even little by little have been unlearning how it is to be safe now, right? Like how I'm going to look for an Airbnb in Madrid. I'm like, is that area safe? That was never in the books for us. Like, we lived in the most dangerous country in the world. So we never cared about what was like to go there.
It's just like, there's no place is more dangerous than where I live. So we'll be fine in Madrid.
Yeah. We're going to be fine, whatever. Like, whatever you say, you're not going to scare us, right? We're going to... So when I lived in Guatemala, I was in Antigua, Guatemala. I was basically, it's a touristic hub, right? I was working at a hostel. So a lot of, people, you are from El Salvador. Can you tell me, where to go and what do you recommend? And I will be like, go to El Tunco, go to Santa Ana Center, here, and get out. Like, don't try to explore. When they looked like very, very white, like it's super, obvious that they are tourists, they were fine. Normally, we never had that problem. But if they look like, sort of brownish, lots of tattoos, and just don't go to the communities trying to see what is it like to live like a local, because you're not going to survive like a local, right? So I think we all have stories. Well, at least me, my family, or friends from El Salvador, of someone that suffered the violence from guns. We all have someone personally that either survived it, or they're there, or have a friend that was killed. Like, it was just at that range, right? Like, wow. Those numbers are so high that it's not rare. Even growing up, say, not in a red zone, like I grew up in a community that, there were sort of guns around, but I was, privileged enough that I didn't have, that bad. But if Pizza Hut doesn't go to your house, or Pollo Campero doesn't go to your house, then that means that it's not safe enough, right? That doesn't mean. There were communities where they wouldn't enter it for, 10 years, 20 years. So it was different. And then I think that creates this distress in society that you don't, you want to help someone maybe that is, high chicken, and they asking you for a ride, but you don't trust if they are good or bad, right? So even if they are in maybe a need, that they have lost the last bus or something, you wouldn't get someone that you don't know in your car, because you never know where you're going to end. There are so many, Uber drivers that disappeared and the other way around. Wow. My dad was traumatized. Like, I would never use Uber on the platform ever. Like, only, if I know the guys or the taxi driver, like, I will call them personally. I do that all the time now. So, and it also took some time. Like it was just little by little. It's just sort of putting your feet. Like if I'm learning to swim and I want to be sure that it's possible to do. So everything, good that could happen, bringing new technology, all these platforms. After the pandemic, of course, delivery, Uber Eats, everything that can help a society, it was basically damaged because they will take over. There is always going to be a way that they would damage it, let's say, that we get their hands on it, and it was going to be tough. So that's why I wouldn't use it as like, no, whatever, late is it, I'm going to pick you up. You cannot go outside alone. So yeah, like that. And even if you go walk this area here, San Benito, Zona Rosa, it's safe, certain areas, and it's still there, but you would be watching over your shoulder if there is any motorcycle. So it's that crime. And I think you can get robbed anywhere in the world, right? But the fact that you will basically disappear, that your family will never know what happened to you, was the scary part. That was the scary part that I feel we're free to do now. We're a little bit more free to do now on our own. So that makes you, and then let's put Bitcoin next to it, it makes you dream and believe what can you achieve, right, in freedom. There is a lot of, and it still is probably, but immigration to the States because of the lack of opportunities. So it was violence and no jobs. But if you withdraw violence, then you start looking, okay, what can I do here so I don't have to go? And now we're creating opportunities, or we try to create opportunities as well to locals so they don't have to go. The country is safe enough to do something. Now let's just see what you can do and build on your own community, right?
And this, I'm noticing too, like El Salvadorians that have been living in other countries are starting to come back.
Yeah.